Good day, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. In this episode, we are going to continue our coverage of the ongoing crisis between the Russian Federation and Ukraine. We continue to see heated rhetoric, especially right now coming from the Kremlin and Vladimir Putin talking about various red lines and possible concerns about the deployment of NATO assets into Ukraine. And again, according to the leadership from the Kremlin, Vladimir Putin, that would be a possible red line for military action. And it's, again, very difficult to say if indeed this troop buildup that we continue to observe around Ukraine and now inside of Belarus and the Crimea is preparation for a fairly significant military operation that could occur within the next several days to several weeks to months ahead of us. But again, what exactly is Putin, Vladimir Putin, and the Russian leadership really upset about? Well, it's very complicated, and it just doesn't really kind of have to do with possible deployment of weapons to the Ukraine, strategic weapon systems, which, based upon prior actions by NATO, that has occurred. And if we go back and we look at our map here, and we look at the prior, what was made up of the Warsaw Pact during Soviet times. And those countries were communist nations allied with the former Soviet Union. And those countries consisted of Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Romania, obviously Bulgaria, and a couple of others. But what has happened is we have seen NATO expansion in to those former Warsaw Pact nations. So especially Poland is now part of NATO. Romania is part of NATO. And there was some very specific actions that were done by NATO, by the United States, centered on this town here, Devasulu, Romania. And what occurred was the Aegis Ashore system, radar system, the same Aegis system that would be utilized by U.S. destroyers and cruisers, warships that have very advanced radar systems, and they also obviously have the Mark 41 cold launch, vertical launch system for missiles, specifically the Standard Missile 3. And that's what we now have in Romania. And again, Romania was a former Warsaw Pact nation. And you can see this site here. This is the Aegis Ashore site that was positioned in the former Warsaw Pact nation of Romania. Now, granted, Romania, in terms of being Warsaw Pact members under Ceausescu, were never really that obligated to the Warsaw Pact. It would kind of be more in lines of Turkey being honorary members of NATO, but official members of NATO, if that makes sense. But again, Ceausescu was never one that the Soviets could count on in case of an all-out war, and in all likelihood, Romania would have probably kept to themselves, be it officially part of the Warsaw Pact. Now, we could have seen large amounts of Russian troops and Soviet troops eventually forcing their way into Romania, but usually during the Cold War period, again, Romania was kind of a sideshow in terms of Warsaw Pact activity. We saw most of Russian forces, Soviet forces, obviously in Poland, East Germany, Czechoslovakia, and so on, more focused towards a possible operation into Western Germany. So not as much attention on Romania. But now, again, Romania, part of NATO, with this very, very advanced Aegis Ashore system. And NATO claims, the United States claims, that this is really to protect Southern Europe from possible ballistic missile launches from the Middle East. But clearly, this system has the ability to look towards both the Russian Federation and obviously towards the Middle East too. And you can see the vertical launch system that is here as well. Now, what Putin also alleges, which he is correct, that at some point there could be cruise missiles, Tomahawk cruise missiles, or a different type of stealthier cruise missile that could be placed in this vertical launch system, which would then put cruise missiles quite possibly less than 1,000 miles from hitting targets in Moscow. I believe Devisalu, or the Aegis Ashore system, is just about just under 1,000 miles from Moscow. But again, you can see it is a significant facility, very secure facility. You can clearly see there are 3 layers of protection. There is the outer layer of security that you can clearly see here. You then see the second layer of security, which is the perimeter to the actual Aegis Ashore system, and then you see the third layer, which then protects the immediate asset, which is the Aegis Ashore system. So again, 1, 2, 3 layers of security, and again, a very, very obviously well kept and high value asset that if there was a conflict between NATO and the Russian Federation, I would assume that the Russians would quite possibly target this with hypersonic missiles, ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, to take this asset out. Again, a very, very high-tech system that with advanced radar systems and standard missile 3 vertical launch systems as well. But again, this is just one of the issues that Vladimir Putin has, and could Vladimir Putin eventually worry that an Aegis Ashore system would be built in the Western Ukraine? Again, past performances are indicative of future results in this case. And as we have seen NATO expand into Poland, into Romania, and even having the audacity to expand into Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, you simply cannot rule out the issue that at some point in time we could see the Ukraine be admitted into NATO. And again, that is one of those red lines for the Russian Federation. And here we are with this vast troop buildup that is occurring along the borders of Ukraine. And maybe the Kremlin, Putin, has just frankly had enough and is looking to stop this expansion. And he is determined that the only way to stop this expansion eastward is through the military option. And that's quite possibly what we are looking at now. But we are going to continue to monitor the situation, and I hope this provides some insight into the NATO expansion and some concerns that the Russian Federation has. Have a good day, everybody.